Hello, hello, hello. I'm excited to do this training. I always am. I'm going to be talking about activating big money months in your business, how to keep that stuff consistent without working super, super hard. There's still time. We're nearing like the end of the first half of the year. So we've got a couple of more weeks left. We'll be at the first half of the year. There's still time to make this year your most amazing year ever in terms of revenue and sales in your business and in your life in general. But you get to decide. You get to decide what the next 6 months are going to look like. And so I want to be giving you some tools for you to focus in a different way. What I know is that most people underestimate what they can do in the first half of the year. Well, they overestimate what they can do in the first half of the year, and they underestimate what they can do in the second half of the year. Most people make the most money in the second half of the year, not the first half of the year. But what happens is we get discouraged when the first half doesn't look like what we thought it should look like. So I want you to understand that you have plenty of time to flip the script on how your year looks, and in this year playing a much bigger game. So I'm going to talk about the ways in which you can do that. Here's the thing. Today's topic is for you if you've ever had the occasional big money months, and that used to be me. I would do an $80,000 month, and then I would make like $8,000, $5,000, $3,000 for probably like 6 to 9 months. And then eventually I'd work around to maybe doing a $30,000 month. And then there was times where those months were even smaller, but it was never really consistent. And I didn't really know how to do that. And I thought I needed to go learn another strategy from this person and another strategy from this person. And somebody was going to give me a magic pill that will get me to the place where I was doing $50,000 to $100,000 a month consistently. And the lesson that I've learned on this journey to getting myself there is that it really wasn't about strategy. It was more about my inside game. And so today I want to talk to you a little bit about strategy, about activating big money months. And when I say big money months, I'm talking doing $50,000 to $100,000 a month. That is what I'm talking about. Okay. So I want to talk to you about what gets us there. Okay, so this is for you if you've been that person who's had the occasional big money months like I used to be, and then you notice yourself shrink back, right? You notice yourself go, you know what? Maybe I'm not ready for this. Or it just seems like everything blows up and you just can't seem to figure out how to repeat it. No matter what you do, you can't repeat that result. This conversation that we're going to have is also for you if you feeling yourself feeling like frustrated because you see your peers going ahead of you. You know, there's lots of people that I've started in this journey with. I've been in this industry for over a decade. And there's people that I was in programs with back in like 2010, 2011, 2012, who have multi 7-figure businesses, some of the influencers that you guys know. And I would watch them and go, what is different about them than me? What are they doing differently? And that's what I was always focused on. What are they doing differently in their strategy? And I thought that I was paying attention to those things, but that's not really it. And so if that's you watching other people who you started at the start line with passing you by, and you're frustrated by that because you know that you could have a massive business by now, you feel like you should be there by now too, and you know that it's possible for you, but you also know that there's a block somewhere and you just don't know what those blocks are or how to release them. And maybe even you've tried mindset stuff. I want to talk about some of the inside game stuff as we talk today. Okay. So what I want you to understand about going to your next level is this. Getting to your next level will always feel like a risk. Write that down. Getting to your next level will always feel like a risk. You're going into the unknown. You're going into a zone that you've not yet experienced before. And it's usually something that's going to cost you, right? It's usually a decision. Sometimes it's an investment. Sometimes it's up-leveling a client. Like right on the spot, you have an opportunity to do something that's playing a much bigger game. And you either decide to cross over or you don't. And I want you to hear me. It's always going to feel like a risk. It's always going to feel scary. It's always going to feel scary. And I've noticed that when I get to the threshold now, I know that I've anchored this in my knowing. And so what happens is I go, this is the invitation to the breakthrough to my next level. And then I'm able to call on my courage and move through it. So how do you consistently hit bigger and bigger money months and really break through to your next level? I'm going to give you 3 things that I've looked at. Of course, I can give you much more, but I really want to just hone in on the main things. And so I'm going to give you number 1, and I don't think I've typed it in. So you can just write it down, but it's raise your standards to the level of the game that you want to play. Raise your standards to the level of the game that you want to play. I'm going to say that one more time. Raise your standards to the level of the game that you want to play. Now, most of us don't have a problem raising our standards on ourselves, but I want you to look at this in a different way. This is to the outside, right? This is to your community. This may be even to your family and your clients. What's happening is most of you, if you're not where you want to be, you're playing for approval. You're not playing to win. You're not playing to get to that next level. You're playing for approval. Because here's the truth, despite all of your success, you've been playing not to win people's or not to lose people's love, approval, or attention. Think about that. You've been playing not to lose people's love, approval, or attention. And that could be community or maybe even family. I'm going to give you some examples in a second. And here's what I want you to know. Some of what I'm going to share today is not going to be easy to hear, but it's worth taking a look in the mirror to see what's really stopping you and keeping you stuck. Because that way that you're playing, the standard that you're playing at, is being mirrored back to you in your business. And if you want things to change, what you need to do is completely uproot and annihilate all the subtle ways that you are still playing small, all the little ways that you're still rationalizing the thoughts, the feelings, and the behavior that are keeping you stuck at your current level. Here's some examples. Think about the times that you maybe didn't ask for the sale or a deposit. You let someone get off the phone without giving you the credit card, or you have a client who has a late payment. And because you're afraid that they'll get upset with you, or you don't want to rock the boat, or you're afraid to hear no, you don't do what's necessary to collect. Or maybe you don't charge the rates that you really want to charge because you're afraid that making too much money, I want you to listen to me, will trigger your husband's insecurities, a family member's insecurities. So what you do is you play in business just to a level enough not to rock the boat. Or maybe this one. Maybe you minimize your accomplishments. Some of you guys have been featured in Forbes. You've written books, all kinds of things. You hit big money goals and you never celebrate that win. You minimize your accomplishments because you're afraid that your cousins, your mother, your friends, they might get jealous. They might think you're too big for your britches. Who does she think she is? You minimize your accomplishments because you don't want people around you to feel small. And so what that does is it starts to siphon your self-esteem. And what that does is that keeps you playing smaller and smaller. You make just enough money. You charge just enough money to feel good and say, I'm successful, but you know that there's more. For a long time, I told a lie to myself. I told myself I didn't want to have a multi-million-dollar business. And for a long time, I was never on that trajectory. For a long time, I was never headed in that direction. And so you want to start telling the truth and stop playing small. Here's another way that you may be playing not to win, or not playing to win, but playing to lose, is you don't ask your team for the support you need because you don't want them to see you as being, I can't say the word, a B, right? You don't want them to feel like you're nagging all the time. You want them to like you. So there's things where people are dropping the ball and you don't talk about it. There's a different level of support you need, but you don't request it. And all of that keeps your business operating at your current plateau. For most of you, if you're attracted to me, you are a big spirit. you are powerful. When you walk into a room, people take notice, and you've been conditioned to tone it down so that others won't feel threatened or intimidated by you. And that, love, is why you play small. And it's what's holding you back from exactly where you want to go. It's why you're hustling your butt off and still stuck at your current level of revenue. The moment you stop being afraid of your power, the moment you stop diminishing your power, that is when your income will explode. Here's the bottom line. The first step to breaking through to your next level starts with not settling. You get to be all of the bigness that you are. Absolutely. Addiction approval. Addiction to approval. Addiction to struggle. We're going to talk about that in a second. All of the things I'm going to talk about today are little addictions that you don't even realize are siphoning away your ability to create massive impact, income, revenue, influence in your business, because you're not being 100% who you can be. You're not being honest about the results you want to create, all because you want to make sure everybody else is comfortable and safe, but you. I used to walk around with these subtle, crazy looking half-grin smiles to make other people feel comfortable in my presence, because I was told one too many times how intimidating I am. But my straightforwardness and my directness is what has gotten me to this place, because the people who hire me, they're brilliant, badass, bold, powerful, mostly women who need someone like me to reflect back to them their power. I can't do that if I'm pretending like I'm mousy. I can't do that if I'm not being who God created me to be. And the same is true for you. So the first one is raise your game to the level that you want to play. Stop playing small. Stop playing small. Stop playing small. 2, you want to simplify your business to accelerate it. Simplify to accelerate it. Here's what I mean by that. We often operate in this hard work equals success paradigm, right? You got to grind till you own it. And what that has you doing is making things harder than it has to be. I want to give you a few signs to watch out for if this is you. So this is another addiction. You're addicted to struggling. You're addicted to hard work. You're addicted to the uphill battle. That used to be me too. I used to pride myself on saying that I'm a fighter. Like, put anything in my way, I'm like the phoenix, I'll rise from the ashes. And I used to tell that story over and over and over again. And then someone reflected it back to me and made me look at it differently. She said, what if you didn't have to fight? And I thought, I never thought about not having to overcome obstacles, because I had been overcoming obstacles all of my life. And so in my business, I would kind of create obstacles so I would have to overcome and rise from the ashes. And you don't have to raise your hand. You don't have to say, oh, amen. You could just say, ouch. You can secretly say, that's me. So I was putting stumbling blocks in my way because I was so used to the grind, so used to overcoming things, so used to struggling. And what I had to do is take a step back and look at it differently and go, what if I didn't have to struggle? What if it got to be easy? And I shifted that story from being a fighter, an overcomer, a phoenix rising from the ashes all the time, to I'm a champion. I'm a winner. All I do is win. Everything I touch is win. It's like magic. I make money like magic. All of those things where it's like so easy. It's so easy. Sometimes I giggle because I could say a thing or say I want to create a program, and then the person to buy it just shows up, right? Because I've shifted my thought process about how hard I need to work in order to get to the level of success that I want to get there. So I want to give you some signs to watch out for that this may be you, because they all indicate a teeny tiny or full-blown addiction to struggle and hard work. First one is this. You believe that whatever you do, it's not worth much if there's no blood, sweat, and tears in it. If you didn't have to grind for it, if you didn't have to work, toil for it, then it's not worth much. Oh, that's no big deal. And trust me, I hear you. I grew up with that one, and I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I'm owning every accomplishment, everything that I create. The next one I want to give you is this. You're so used to getting things the hard way that you would be completely and utterly suspicious Or you'd feel like a fraud if suddenly there was no more struggle. Like you were taking candy from a baby. Like it shouldn't be this easy. I've got to do, this is how this normally shows up with my clients when I'm working with them. We create a program or a package and we remove all the extra work. So let's say maybe they're meeting with people every week for 12 weeks. So it's a 90-day program. They're like, I meet with my clients every week for 90 minutes at a time. And I'm like, why are you doing that? And so we get rid of the 90 minutes and maybe we take what they were teaching them during the weekly sessions privately with people. And we put that all in a recorded session to deliver it. And now they're meeting with their clients twice a month instead of 4 times, instead of every week. So we half their sessions, right? So instead of doing 12 sessions, they're doing 6 sessions. They're still charging $10,000. Their clients are still getting the results. They're just not working for it. And then they're like, I think I should put something else in it. I'm like, are your clients complaining? No. Did your clients get the results? Yes. But it's that feeling that I didn't work hard enough for that investment. I didn't work hard enough for that money. And so if that's you, you might have this addiction, right? If you didn't have to struggle to get your business to the level that it's at, would you feel like a fraud? Would you feel suspicious, like something's off? Would you feel like you were taking candy from a baby, or that you were actually being malicious with people, even though you're not? Another way is you're prouder when you obtain things through struggle and hard work than you are when you obtain the same things with ease. So because it comes easy, you go, that's no big deal, even though it's the same accomplishment. But if you struggled for it and you sweat for it and you toiled and there was tears for it, then you're excited about the accomplishment. If that's you, you're probably making your business harder than it has to be. If you insist on doing things yourself, especially the things that you don't like, instead of delegating them to team or just letting them go all together, like you don't have to do that thing. It's so surprising to me how many times I see people working so hard in their business. There's something they can stop doing altogether, but because they like the feeling of being busy, because they like the feeling, or they're used to being so busy in order to get the reward, it's hard for them to let go the busyness. It's hard for them to let go of the busyness. One of the first things we do inside of my camp is I stop my clients from working on the weekends. It's like, no, you get to refuel yourself. You don't have to be working. We have this tendency of feeling like if I don't have it yet, then I shouldn't be working. I even see posts around like that where people are saying, if you're not where you want to be, you shouldn't be relaxing. I'm like, no, you actually should be. Right? There's some magic in allowing. There's some magic in ease and flow instead of always pushing and grinding and feeling like it has to be so hard. So we want to simplify your business model, simplify your delivery, make it easy for you to make a lot of money and make it fun. Here's something I want you to write down and say this over and over and over again. It gets to be easy. It gets to be easy. What we do is we pull out all the fluff that we have in so we can pat ourselves on the back and say we worked for it. And we focus on the things that matter most to move the needle forward in your business, right? We're creating multiple 6-figure programs with sometimes 1 to 2 offers, no more than 3 offers, and focusing on solving one specific problem only, not a problem over here and a problem over there. We do what I call the power of one. We solve one specific problem, and there's 3 levels of access that our clients can work with us. And the greater the access to us, the higher the investment the client makes. And it makes it so simple because you're not always trying to create a new program to launch or to put someone in or create new content, because it's all focused on one thing. So you want to simplify. So if you found yourself in any of those areas, start looking at where am I doing these things and where can I start to say, you know what, I'm going to delegate this. Where can I start to say, you know what, this can actually come out of my program because it doesn't contribute to my clients getting results. It just contributes to me feeling like I'm actually working for the money. And the crazy thing about it is you are working for the money even when it's easy. It's just that the thing that comes easiest to you is the thing that people will pay the most for. So the thing that you know, like the back of your hand, people will pay you tens of thousands of dollars to experience because it just oozes out of you. but we feel bad about it because it's second nature. There isn't a lot of work. So we want to stuff stuff into our work. We want to have to Google things and, put a lot of hours in, but that's not necessarily how you're going to get to your next level. So simplify to accelerate. And then the last one that I want to give you is this. You must. This is the work, right? This is the work that you'll continually be doing. Once you figure out your simplified business model, and once you're okay with playing to win instead of worrying about whether or not people like you, this is the game that you're playing over and over and over again. And it's expanding your capacity to receive larger and larger sums of money. What happens is you do what you do at the 6-figure level, and then you have to do it again from a different version of yourself so that you can have it at the $250,000 level or the $500,000 level or the $1 million level. If we want to go with price points at the $5,000, $10,000, $50,000, $100,000 level, right? If we want to go with monthly revenue at the $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $50,000 a month, $100,000 a month, you're expanding your capacity to receive more money. Here's what you got to understand about this part. No worthiness genie is going to show up and tell you it's time for you to start making multiple 6 figures. No worthiness genie is going to show up and say, okay, boom, you can now do 100K months. You are the worthiness genie. And I know that there's likely part of you that's like, heck yeah, let's do this. And then there's a part of you that's like, wait, am I really ready for this? Can I handle this? What are people going to think when this is me? How do I even operate a business at that level? And this battle between these two parts of yourself is what actually becomes the barrier to the threshold, right? That has you leveraged off. It has you stuck where you are. It has you at max capacity. So what you're seeing is some of you are hitting $100,000 a month, $150,000 a month, $250,000 a month, year after year after, or year, I said months. Sorry, I'm used to dealing with big numbers. I meant years, right? You've been stuck at $200K a year for years. You've been stuck at $170,000 a year for years. There's an internal clog. There's a status quo where you won't allow yourself to receive any more money. So how do we shift that? How do we shift that? So we're going to talk about that. There's only 2 reasons why you're not making more money in your business, right? There's only 2 reasons why you're not hitting $50,000, $100,000 months. Now, I'm clear that what I'm about to say is not going to land squarely on the heart of everybody that's listening. It's also not going to explode into Skittles, rainbows, and unicorns on everybody. I get that. I understand that I'm about to rub some people the wrong way and I might trigger you, but I want you to lean in and hear me out on this. There's only 2 reasons why. This is the thing that I've learned of over a decade of doing this work, mostly on myself. And then with all the clients that I've worked with, I'm on my 12th round of my Play Big program. That is 12 rounds of showing people how to create record-breaking results and how to really transcend anything they've ever done where money is concerned in their business, usually in their entire life. Taking people who have been doing $30,000 a year, $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and showing them how to do that in a month. This is the 12th round of me doing this. So over and over and over and over again. I want to talk to you about this. So lean in and just listen. Grab a notebook if you need to, because there's an inner barrier to your next level. And then there's an external barrier. So the inner barrier is you. It's how you are getting in your own way. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But let's start with the external barrier, which is other people. So my daughter wanted to do a quick little workshop because people love to talk to her and love to hear her insights about things, and she's great at facilitating conversations. And so she wanted to do one around racism. And so she put a post out just to see who would be interested. And she said she wanted to charge $97 to do it. The sheer number of people that didn't say I wouldn't do it because I can't afford it, but they were trying to tell her that she should go look at what other people are charging that have been doing this way longer than her. And that's how she should decide on her pricing. Now, no shade to anyone, because most of you probably price like that. You go, oh, the coach I hired is only charging X, so how dare I charge more than them? Or you go, wow, I just started this. I just started my business, not you just started your thing, right? You probably are an expert at what you do if you follow me, but you just started your business. And so you think I have to start charging small and then bigger because that's what the world tells you, right? Even though it's not in alignment with you. So here's what I want you to get about this external factor. Most people, most humans in society, especially in American, during the Industrial Revolution, what they were doing was churning out workers, people to work by the hour, not entrepreneurial spirits that were able to be tycoons and make larger and larger sums of money. They don't think like that. But what we do is we try to bring the worker mentality into our businesses. That does not work. That does not work. So here's what I want you to understand. If you're surrounded by people who have that thought process, who have only ever worked a job, who cannot fathom making $100,000 in a month, who have their own doubts, who have their own limitations, who have their own insecurities, especially when it comes to money, and who are constantly reflecting that and projecting those insecurities, limitations, and doubts on you, and you're accepting it as your truth, you will constantly experience the desire to expand, to raise your rates, to have bigger money months, but you won't do it. You'll get pulled back. You'll get pulled back to the status quo because you're holding on to that and accepting it as your truth. And it shows up as, oh, well, how do I do it? Right? I'm like, when you say yes, the how figures up. It shows up. You don't have to know the how. You just have to decide that it's done and I'm doing it. What happens when you decide, shoot, I wish I had that poem. When you decide, what happens is it shows up and it looks like serendipity. It's like, man, I decided I was going to do a thing and all these ducks just lined up. For most of you, you've not made the decision that that's what you want. You desire it, but you haven't decided. It's a good to have, a nice to have, but you're not committed to it. Because when you say yes and all your actions align with that, what happens is the way gets paved very easily. You're no longer trying to figure it out. So you might even experience occasional big money months and then find yourself shrinking back because you've anchored in this truth. All right. So externally, this is why community is so important. It's why it's important for you to surround yourself around people who prove to you that what you desire to do is possible to do, and they're doing it over and over and over again. People that reflect back to you your greatness as opposed to your smallness. People that tell you don't get too big for your britches, don't be around those people. People that say, I see you and you can absolutely do this. You're incredibly badass. Let's go. You want to be around more of those people. Community matters. Community matters. It's why my daughter was able to stand strong and go, kind of like, you don't know who my mama is. Thank you. I'll take that under advisement, maybe not, and then move on because she's surrounded by people who are already doing it and she realizes that they aren't. She's surrounded by people who are running multi-6 and multi-7-figure enterprises as single entrepreneurs with team. She's surrounded by people who are doing 100K months. She's surrounded by people who are charging $10,000 to work with them privately minimum, surrounded by them. Whereas these people are like, well, it takes me 3 months to make $10,000, right? That's more money than I make in a year or 3 years. Who are you surrounded by? So external actually matters. All right. So that second part, the other reason why you're not making more money in your business and you're not hitting your biggest money months consistently, this is where I rub you the wrong way. You don't actually want it. You don't actually want it. There's something that's making you feel like if you get it, the whole world's going to blow up. Right? You're setting goals far out of alignment with your true desires. I'll ask people sometimes, how much money do you want to make in the next 90 days? And then how much money do you want to make in the next year? And then I'll hear the true desire well up and they get excited and they go, oh, well, do you want my dream number or do you want my, reality number? And the truth is, whatever you desire is your reality number, but you have to decide that it is. So you're setting goals far outside of alignment, or you might feel shame around money, having it for whatever reason. Like one of the reasons I talked about earlier, you don't want to out earn your spouse, your significant other. You don't want to out earn your family, right? There's shame around having the money. Trust me, ask me how I know. Right? You feel guilty for even wanting more. You likely have a decent business now. Life is good, but there's a little bit of shame. Like, why am I being greedy? That might be an undercurrent that you hear yourself saying. That's shame, right? And guilt. Economics is what's going to change the world. You having more money is what's going to change not only your life, but the trajectory of your entire family for generations to come, as well as the earth that we live on, the causes you believe in. You can't do that without more money. You can't do that without big money. You can do a little, but how much more could you do if you made the kind of money that you truly desire to make? Right? You may have an ancestral or an inherited aversion to making big money. I had both. Ancestrally, the thought process was people like me don't make that kind of money. Inherited, I come from a family of sharecroppers, right? After slaves were set free, my family were sharecroppers. A bit of that's in my DNA. That's the stuff I'm using epigenetics to recode for future generations, so that it's, hey, we know how to have and hold money. So you may have a bit of that and you're not facing it. You're not looking at it. You're not seeing what a big role it plays into what you're creating in your business right now, the money you're creating in your business right now. It's why you could have $100K a month and not have another one for a year or at all. Do you know the majority of people in the coaching consulting industry that hit 7 figures never do it again? They do it once and they never do it again. And this is part of the reason why. You may also feel like you don't deserve it. So these programs of shame, guilt, self-punishment, inheritance, lack, some of it victimization, everything, all of that exists as part of who you are. But until you get rid of that stuff, that ancestral stuff, that here's my experience of dealing with money, you can't go to the next level. You got to own that stuff and then create a new normal. So with me, I'm like, I have my own stuff. I'm constantly uprooting and creating normalcy around having, receiving, and holding big money. So I'm going to say that again because I want you to hear this. I'm creating normalcy around receiving big money. Right? It's not like something not normal for me to have somebody pay me $50,000 to work with me, right? To have deposits that are $9,000. Creating normalcy around the receiving of the money, because I'm a girl who used to have a program that was $197 a month for 6 months. I'm the girl who had the programming that thought I couldn't possibly charge anybody over 300,000. 300,000. See, look, my number, I'm already changing my numbers. I'm like 300,000 a month. $300 a month, because that's some people's car notes. 600 is like rent for some people in some places of the world, right? And so these were the thought processes that I had because it's who I was surrounded around. Now there's people who pay me $3,500 a month, $7,500 a month, $5,000 a month, because I'm recoding. So I had to normalize the receiving of big money and then normalize the having of the money, right? Actually allowing it to come in, and then normalize the holding of it. And that's where profits come in. Normalizing holding it, because there was a time where I started to make big money and then I would give it away. I would find programs to invest in. Stuff would happen where I was still living paycheck to paycheck, even though money was coming in. And so we have to normalize the receiving, the having, and the holding of big money. So the first one was you don't want it when it comes to capacity. And the second one is this, and I'm going to wrap this up. You can't handle it. You don't have the capacity. It's what I was just talking about, the holding of it. What that means is this, and lean in and listen to me. Who you be at this moment can't handle the wattage of abundance. It's too much. This is why you have to keep shifting. changing, uprooting things, right? You don't have the external or the internal support set up to help you do that. When I'm looking at taking my business to a million, I had to first look at internal, and then I had to look at, okay, what is the external support that I need in place to allow me to be able to receive and hold this money, right? You also may believe that the growth might literally break you. Somehow something about you is going to change. And this might be an internal conversation that's an undercurrent, but it's one of the reasons why you're repelling it, why you're not able to do it. And then you have no system, no formula, or no plan in place. And here's what I want you to understand. There's no course that you're going to invest in, no strategy that you're going to try to put to work that's going to work at maximum capacity if you don't want it. If you don't feel like you can actually handle it at a soul level, nothing's going to work. Not mindset work, not a coach, not therapy. Nothing's going to be able to support you in transcending your goals, your revenue goals, if you don't actually want it and can't handle it on a cellular level. And this isn't just about your bank account. That's the work that I'm doing right now. That's the work that I'm helping my clients do, is to transcend this stuff, to transcend it, to actually look at how do I increase my capacity, and some of it's external and some of it's internal. You know, I've been celebrating one of my clients who just had her first client pay in full ever, as long as she's been in business. When I talked about the things that you do to make it hard, she never offered people the ability to pay her in full. She just had someone pay her $28,000 in full cash, because she's surrounded a community where people are doing it, and we're uprooting that programming that says, because I'm a done for you service provider, people must pay me on a monthly basis, because that's what she is. She provides a service. We have all kinds of stories that society feeds us about what's normal. We want to create new normals. New normals. So the moment she allowed an opportunity for someone to pay her in full, they did. And when I look at the sheer number of clients that I have that have done their annual revenue in a month, it floors me, because this work is powerful. People who have been in business for years who had never hit six figures, always at that $80,000, $78,000, $68,000 a year. And I'm like, why is this happening consistently? And we begin to uproot some of this stuff, and they're able to get to six figures in 6 months, less than a year. That's the power of getting into this work. And the work that I do is much deeper than strategy. It's about accessing the parts of you that you haven't really looked at before, so that you can transform them at a deeper, more powerful level, so that you can show up more powerfully, so that you can show up and be an expanded container to receive all the money and the best clients that you want. It's a gift that I have. It's my superpower, seeing the real power, seeing what's sabotaging, seeing what's lurking under the surface, and creating that barrier to your next level acceleration and overflow. And then we look at all of that and go, okay, great. We're not going to dwell on it. We know that it's there. We know that when it comes up, this is how we want to move through it. And then we simplify the way to transcending anything that you've ever done as far as revenue and money is concerned in your life. That's what separates me from everybody else. I know this work mostly because I've been through it myself. And if you're a high achiever like me, I can spot it a mile away. I know sales, and I customize simplification for each and every person that I work with. This work is the powerful work that changes the game. This is it. I can give you, I'm not going to name methods, but I can give you, do a quiz, do a funnel, do all the things. It's a reason why you're doing all of those things and you're still hitting the same level of revenue, because you haven't done this work yet. This is the power. We get consistent with where we are. Then we look at moving into this expanding, which means with our consistency, we're expanding who we be over and over and over again, so we create better results. It's why we can collapse time and create our annual income and turn our annual income into our monthly income. Then we look at how do we transcend anything we've ever done in our freaking life. Anything anybody's ever done in our life. That is the work. Okay. All right, guys. So awesome hanging out with you. Talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you so much for watching my show, my channel. Here's what I want you to do. If you really love what you've been listening to, I want you to subscribe to my channel and leave me a comment. No, really, leave a comment. Like right now. I'm not gonna stop talking until you leave a comment. Seriously, leave a comment.